You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Today we're diving into 2 more chapters as part of our series, Elevate Your Excellence, from the book of the same name. Joining us now is author, speaker, and host of the wildly popular and the president of LearnToLead, Mr. Dave Anderson. You've seen him here before. He is, in fact, the author of this soon-to-be best-selling book. I've said it before. If you haven't got your copy yet, we're going to make it real easy for you. There's a little link right below the video that you're watching. You just gotta click it. You're 1 click away from changing your life. So Dave, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us on the show. I love the book. That's why I love having you on here to talk about this. There's a couple of chapters that we want to talk to you about specifically, dive a little deeper. But the first one is master the moment in front of your face. What does that phrase mean and why is it so crucial?
I think no matter what you do, Jim, I think we spend a lot of time in the past and in the future and not enough time just focusing on what we can control. It doesn't matter if you're in sports or you're in sales or management. And it takes a conditioning to appreciate the past, learn some lessons, plan for the future, but you only have power in the present.
That's right.
And we have to coach our people that, listen, this is all you have. There's a lot you can't control. We have to condition ourselves. And so it's continuing to bring yourself back into the present moment, because that's the only place you have any power anyway. And what you do in the present is going to determine your future regardless. And so it's about conditioning and being aware, because we get pulled out of the present all the time. I mean, there's stuff that goes on, emergencies of the moment. We're like the athlete that gets so consumed with the scoreboard. Where are we? Are we ahead? Are we behind? That we take ourselves out of the game.
Right.
And we're not managing our game. So there's some strategies in there for how to do that. But I should also say, you got to know what the moment is. And when I talk about mastering the moment, it's not just doing anything. It's really understanding the power of priorities. And we don't want to do wrong things well and often, or low return things well and often, because you can do that in the moment and that's not going to help you. So if I'm coaching people, one of the key responsibilities I need to do, Jim, is to help them know what those handful of moments are. These are the things that are most influential to getting you to the goal that you need. I call them MAX acts, MAXACTS. It stands for maximum activities. Okay. So out of the 40 things you got to do today, and you got to do them, Jim, and so do I got to do 40 things today. If I could only do 4, see, that narrows your focus. If I could only do 4 that were most likely to get me the result I need to get, what would they be? Well, that helps you prioritize. That helps you know what to attack. If you get off track, you know what to get back to. So it's not just being in the moment, but it's being in the right moment and putting more reps in those moments that are most essential to your goals. And then I'll add this. You got to get people great at that stuff.
Yeah.
So if I'm running the sales team, and getting people to show up on appointments is a max act, okay? It probably is. Making calls, getting them to show up. Or if you're in a dentist office, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Then that should heavily influence our training. I mean, we got to get people great at those handful of things that matter most. And I think a lot of training is misguided. I talk about that a bit in the book. We train more for variety and not enough for effectiveness. So it's like, we would say, well, we just talked about setting appointments last meeting. Let's talk about something different this meeting. It's like, no, I got a better idea. Let's talk again about getting great at the stuff we need to be great at that we're not great at yet. So all this kind of lines up. We got to know what the moment is. We got to get people great at that moment. Like if you're in a leadership position, one of your max acts is going to be having tough conversations with people.
Yeah.
No matter how long you do this, there's going to be certain things you got to handle again and again and again. The person that comes in late, the person that missed the numbers, the person that didn't do their best, the person that's having the meeting after the meeting, whatever. So you've got to understand, you got to get great at that stuff. We see these things happen and we act surprised that they're happening, but they're going to happen as long as you're in a leadership position. What we should be surprised by is that we're still not good at handling it yet. And so it's really mastering those key things. We don't have to be great at everything, but we better be great at those handful of things that are most predictive of getting us to where we need to go. Got to know what they are, got to stay in that moment and execute them with excellence. And that's really what that chapter's about. But I'll also say you should take it home with you, because we go home and we're not in the moment. we go home and we're
So
looking
true.
at our emails, right?
Yep.
And we're
So true.
looking at our phone. We're trying to have a conversation with our kid, and we're looking at the email to see if something more interesting came up. I mean,
That's right.
this isn't effective. So there's a mental conditioning that I talk about in the book that if you want to make the right thing part of your nature, when it's part of your nature, you don't even have to think about it. It just comes automatic to you. You got to do it in all your life arenas. So when you're at dinner with your spouse, you're practicing being in that moment. When you're at home with your kids, you're practicing being in that moment. And so it's this conditioning, not just at work, but away from work, that also helps us be conditioned. So when we're at work, we can be there. And that makes sense.
It does make sense. And it's also, you'll find that it's also so rewarding, right? I mean, to be distracted by your stupid phone while you're talking to your wife at dinner or your kids at, dinner, whatever the case might be. At the end of the day, this can wait, right? Or the email can wait, or what have you. I mean, it's so much more rewarding if you are one-on-one and, to your point, in that particular moment. This definitely can wait, right?
It can. And so much of the stuff that comes up that distracts us is so minor, but we're still distracted. We're out of the moment, and now we have to get back in it.
Yes.
And see, if you get out of it, the problem is you got to get back in it, and you might not get back in it. How many times have you turned your head for a minute, it turns into the next hour and a half?
That's right.
Or the next day.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a key chapter for helping people be more productive in whatever arena they're in. Sometimes we got to put in more hours than we should have to.
Yeah.
Because we're not productive during the hours we're there in the first place.
So true. I fall into that all the time. There's no question that, to your point, I'll turn around and it'll be, wow, I just spent 90 minutes on something that was just so fruitless that it was, why did I do this? And now I've got to stay after later at work than I'd like to, because I'm not making my time that much more efficient by sticking to the priorities, right?
Exactly. And it takes time and it takes conditioning. And I think that the more aware of it you are, and you're never going to be 100% because there's always stuff that's going to knock you out of that moment. But I think the more aware of it you are, you'll be in the moment more often. And when you do get out of it, you'll catch it quicker.
That's right.
And I'm telling you, Jim, if you could do those two things, if you could stay on track more often, and then when you do get out of it, get back quicker, you're going to run circles around your former self that didn't even know where the track was some of the days.
There's no question about it. And all of the people that you're leading are pulling for you. They want you to do that. They're hoping that you find a way to conquer this because they know, they see how much downtime you have or how much time you're focusing on other things rather than the priorities of the business at hand. And so you're not lying to anybody. Everyone around you that works with you and works for you and works next to you already knows that you've got a problem in this area that you have to fix, right?
Absolutely the truth. And at the end of the day, it is stressful to be one place physically and two other places mentally, three other places mentally. And now you're not good in any of them. So this is a chapter, it's like, people say, well, what chapter do you think is the most influential? It's hard to say, but I think if you don't get this one right, a lot of the other stuff isn't going to work as well for you because you're not going to be in the moment to use the other stuff, if that makes sense.
Right. Speaking of the next chapter, which I love the title of this one, How to Have Good Crappy Days. So how we can shift our mindset to make the most of challenging days, which I think all of us have at any given time. Something happened. You go into the office thinking, wow, it's going to be a great day, and I'm so grateful for my team and my product and our business and everything else, and then boom, somebody drops something on you that you go, oh my gosh, what just happened here, right?
Exactly. And it's just living in the real world. And it's like I first started talking in terms of how to teach an athlete mentally to have a good crappy game.
Yeah.
But it's the same principle. And what we talk a lot about the zone. Okay, people love to talk about the zone, man, being in the zone and that athlete's in the zone or that salesperson's in the zone. Because let's face it, when you're in the zone, work is fun. And when you're in the zone, time flies, you're effective, you're having fun, you're getting great results. But the fact is, I always say the zone is overrated. And the reason I say the zone is overrated, Jim, is if you talk to people, really, the consensus is you're in the zone about 20% of the time, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. If you're running a retail organization, maybe that last 5 or 6 days, you're really in the zone. You're clicking, right?
That's right.
And that's about 20% of the time. So the fact is, what are you going to do to deal with the other 80%? because that's the real world we live in. And so there's a mental shift that you have to realize that, listen, stuff's not working for me today. And sometimes it's not your fault. You're doing all the right stuff and you're getting just, your time and attention's just getting hijacked by nonsense you can't control. You can't get the inventory. The competition's doing something crazy. The economy's cratering, whatever. 5 people didn't show up. So what we have to understand is that whatever we give our focus and our attention to grows bigger in our life. So if we don't have the mental discipline to focus on what we do have and what we can do, then all these things we can't control get bigger. And then the day gets crappier, if you will. All right. So it's like, look, let's say I've got half of what I'm doing is working and half of what I'm doing is not working. Okay. I feel about 50% affected today. Maybe I'm ill. Okay. Maybe it's something like that. I'm saying I've got to focus on what can I still do? What do I still have? And I've got to give 100% to that 50%. Again, it's a mental shift. Don't get hung up on what's not working right now, what you don't have, what you can't control. I can still do this. This is the next one right thing I can do now. It's like the guy that's playing basketball, his shots aren't going in. And he made every one during practice. He made every one during the warm-up, but now everything is a brick. Well, you can't mentally check out. You can't just wait for a better game. You got to deal with what is. You got to play a poor hand well. Can that guy still affect the game? Absolutely. He can play defense. He can get turnovers. He can assist. And a lot of times that's what happens. If I'm selling, I just lose 3 deals in a row. Bam, bam, bam. I just lost them. I can get so hung up on that, I'm no good for the next 3 days.
That's right.
Okay. Or I could say, you know what? Okay, I did my best. We couldn't save those deals. Here's what I can do. I can make 3 more appointments.
That's right.
Okay. I can get on the phone and I can replace this. And that's what happens is when you get back to having that good, crappy day, to focusing on what you do have and what you can do, you shift your energy and you shift your momentum. And a lot of times that turns it back around. You don't get momentum for yourself thinking about what's going wrong.
That's right.
You don't build momentum and positive energy talking about all the stuff that didn't go your way. That just makes you a victim.
That's right.
And so you can shift things by shifting this mental focus to where, you know what? Yeah, stuff's not going well today. Here's what I do have. Here's what I can do. I'm going to give all I have to that. That's going to put me in control. It's going to move me forward, and it's going to turn things around. And it's making people aware of no matter where you're at. If you just had your flight delayed by 4 hours, and everybody's up there whining and complaining and yelling at people that can't control the situation. We've all seen that happen.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, there's going to be how can I have a good crappy delay?
Yeah.
All right. So what can I do? All right. What do I have? I can get some really important work done.
Yeah,
I can get an edge. I can read something and get an edge. And it's getting back to focusing on those things. And that elevates your excellence, even in tough situations. Because most of the time, we're not in that zone. We got to deal with tough, less than ideal situations. So you better have a plan for it. And the book kind of gives you that plan. That chapter gives you that plan.
There's no question about it. And you know what I love about that, and when you were just pointing out about, I just lost 3 deals, and now I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to work and I'm going to replace those particular deals that I lost. And then you end up doing that. And then you say to yourself, why don't I always have this attitude? You know, why do I have to wait in order to lose the deals to then go out and prospect and find 3 replacements? Why don't I just do that every day anyway? So I think through this process, you find that it makes you stronger, and it makes you much more aware of how mindset is everything. You know, it doesn't even take a crappy day. You should come in every single day with a great mindset. But things will happen, and you've put in the book a great way to deal with it. I love it that you could be 100% to the remaining 50% of things that are going right. And all too often we focus on that 50% that's going wrong, and you're almost destined to repeat it, right? If you just focus on that. And it's a problem that we all have and we all fall into. And that's why you got to get the book. This is my book. And in fact, the author signed it for me, so you're not getting this one. But Dave Anderson, author, speaker, and president of LearnToLead. And of course, the book is Elevate Your Excellence, The Power of Doing Ordinary Things Extraordinarily Well. Yes, believe it or not, you too can do that. And you're a click away from getting the book. So Dave Anderson, thank you so much. I'm enjoying this series so much, and our viewers are as well. I know because of the emails that we're getting. So thanks so much for joining us once again.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Jim. See you again.
Great, thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.